YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back. I've got another brief overview of yet another SeL Omnidiver. This happens to be the Mark II series. Now this Mark II is the culmination of probably 2 to 3 years of R&D by SeL, where they kind of tested things out. They had a couple of features introduced on their other models, such as the D42 and the FTX, before they kind of brought this back. And recall, the Omnidiver is actually the top of the line, full engineered model, and as such, it's kind of like the no holes bar. So I wanted to go over this one. This one's particularly special to me. This is Omnidiver Mark II number 1. It is one that I had been waiting for a few years, and so I was, in line for a long time, and I was able to buy number 1 serial number. And I'll go over this, and there's a couple of adjustments and tweaks I made on this particular model, and because this was in the pre-order run, a few of these SeL Mark IIs that you'll see floating around on the internet or even on the Watch You Seek forums were customized with different color options and different hands and different paint, and just great stuff. So just brief overview again, if I can get this thing to focus. All titanium grade 5. This is the best watch I've seen in grade 5, and I've had others in grade 5. This is all machined and hand assembled and put together in Arizona, USA. It does have a Swiss ETA Preci drive, thermocompensated HAQ high accuracy quartz movement. It does have 7 joules, and it does have an end of life cycle where it'll actually tick the hands twice every 2 seconds. Mark II is still 48 millimeter diameter, 46 and a half case. So you can see there is definitely an overlap. Right, you can from the side, you can see how the larger chunks of the bezel are there. Lug to lug with the integrated lugs, we are looking at 53. And then now on the Mark IIs, the addition became, or the changes were, now there is a standardized case back where, regardless of high accuracy quartz or the automatic that is offered, another Swiss automatic, everyone gets this domed case back. And what that does differently is makes the watch slightly thicker. So here we're looking at about 17.5 millimeters thicker compared to 15.4 front to back. It also greatly reduces the footprint of the watch on the back of your wrist. So if you're kind of one of those people who likes to have a smaller footprint, or wear your watch tight or whatever, it's going to have a different way of feeling on the wrist. To me, honestly, it didn't make any difference, but it's something I noticed because the height of the watch was there. The watch is slightly heavier too. With on bracelet now, we're looking at around like 175 grams to 180 grams as adjusted with the bracelet. And that might just be because there's just more titanium on the watch with the heavier case back and the crown. So this particular one also has the minimalist, and this is where my customizations came in. So let me just zoom in a little bit so we can take a look. So this has the minimalist dial, right? No real markings anywhere, and this is one of the new dials that is being offered or was offered on the Mark II pre-order. It has waves in the center, and these are like laser etched, and this was, I think, one of the cool options that was offered. I've seen a few of these around on the forums and on the website and on the internet, but let me just see if I can zoom in and get this thing to, there you go. So you can see there's like waves laser etched in the back in the center ring. So this is almost like a 2-dimensional, or it's got like there is the outer dial, and then there's an inset dial that's kind of recessed, if you will. The lume plots are now printed on, and they're not applied anymore compared to the Mark I series, but they are much larger, and that kind of gives the watch a better filled out look from the dial, even though it's the same size. You now have the Mark 1 hands, or sorry, Mark 2 hand, which is this the minute hand, and then you have the Mark 2 hour hand, which is the same as before with the new seconds hand. So what I kind of did is ask for a contrasting blue and white. I love that combo, and minimal if anything changes. You've got the high accuracy quartz date aperture window, which is right here at like 730-ish. And the other customization I did, or I requested, and it was graciously honored was normally this Mark 1 Omnidivers have full gradiated or gradations across the entire bezel from 0 to 60. I kind of wanted to do something different for this one, is just go from 0 to 15 every minute, and then just 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, back to 0. Everything's cool on that. The other kind of customization I had done and was, I know there are full DLC Omnidivers out there, one of which I've got. But going full DLC meant I could not attach a bracelet because the DLC option was not offered on a bracelet. So I kind of went with this two-tone where I got the DLC on the bezel, and it kind of gives it this cool look. I haven't seen another one with this. Maybe there's another one or two posted on Instagram. But so you've got the raw titanium that's been machined and brushed, and then you've got the very well done DLC coating. This is not, it's PVD, but this is the actual, like, the coating is actually a really good DLC, and it's not fully black. It's like a dark gunmetal gray, if you will. And so it kind of really sits into that kind of like toolish vibe. We have now on the Mark IIs an even larger crown than the Mark 1 or 1.5s with heavier knurling, right? So it's just that much easier. The Mark II bezel action is even better than the Mark 1, and I'm gonna demonstrate that. It is it has been adjusted, and if you go to their website or if you talk to Andrew on Instagram or if you email them, they've done something to this to make it what would be perceived as tighter. However, it's actually just what I would call bump proof, where you have to make a concerted effort to move this bezel. Whereas on the previous Mark 1 and Mark IIs, you could bump into something and the bezel would move. And, if you're timing anything or, a dive, or if you're timing something on the stove, or you're timing a job, or you're timing something on the machines or whatever. We all time and use the bezels for different reasons, but it could move. So here's the Mark II improved bezel action. And you can hear the piston falling into each of the notches in the back of this bezel. And I'm going slowly just to hear it, and it is a dream. So it is great. Oh, I didn't have it aligned. Here we go, round 2. Woo! That bezel action. And here we are back at 0. So great improvement in my opinion from the Mark 1s. That on its own just makes it, it's almost like you can feel like it's a safe, and you're turning the tumbler, or the dial, and you can hear individual like tumblers falling, and it's just, it's awesome. Everything else is pretty much the same. The loom is slightly better, and I think the application and how Andrew's, printing them out and putting it and applying it is, his workmanship's gotten a lot better from the Mark 1 series, I will say. And this becomes now a little more like, ooh, it's a little more fancy of a tool watch. So I'm going to put this on. Another thing on the Mark IIs is he's no longer etching or laser inscribing, if you will, the serial number on the bracelet. So that way these bracelets can float between multiple watches. But again, here it is on, if I can get this thing to zoom. Yeah, here it is on a 7.3 inch wrist. And you can see how it wears. It's super comfortable. And again, this bracelet is like the dream, right? Like if you talk to anyone on the forums or anyone who has them, this bracelet kills it. It is literally insane. It'll make you a fan of bracelets if you're not already a fan. But on top of that, this watch does wear well with straps like isoframes or I believe dive core straps, NATOs, Zulus, whatever. It's a strap monster. But here it is from the side view. So you can see there is a little bit more height off the wrist. It does sit, I do wear it behind my wrist bone, and it does wear a little bit, it sits a little bit higher, but honestly it's so well planted because the weight distribution from the head to the rest of the bracelet is almost perfect. I know I've had a couple of Omegas or Rolexes or whatever, and the head is, you know, like the full weight of the watch is almost like 70% of the head, 70% of the weight is the head, and then the bracelet's just kind of there. So then to have a comfortable fit and not get any hot spots or pressure spots, you have to wear the watch significantly tighter just to make sure the head doesn't wobble. But this thing is just brilliant. It wears perfectly, and it just fits. So if you have honestly, if you have a 7-inch wrist or larger and you kind of like the larger dialed watches, you know, your Zen T1s or your Seiko Marine Masters, 1000 Tunas, or any of the sort where you're now like anything larger than 44 millimeter, I would recommend taking a look at the Omnidiver. But if you like the smaller stuff where you're like, hey, I like the 40 millimeter Rolexes, or you know, I like the new Tudor FXD, this watch won't be for you. It's big, and I know people who've tried mine on usually can't handle it because it's just too big. Me personally, I love it. Let me see if I can get a down the barrel shot, if you will. I don't know if that's possible, but the D42s have been available, but they're also discontinued. But I know Andrew is making a new 40 to 42 millimeter series of the Omnidiver. So follow him on Instagram, and I'm sure he'll reveal the plans for what's the improvements, what's the change, and timelines for that. Otherwise, this is kind of the brief overview of the Mark II Omnidiver. As always, guys, thanks for your time. Appreciate everyone's patience with these longer videos. It's just kind of hard to get all of this out in a short period of time. And to do these watches justice, honestly, you need to have them and own them. And I feel like after owning the Omnidivers that I've had for 2-3 years now, I kind of have a very good grasp on them. And that's why I've got a bunch of these coming in. So see you guys on the next video, and appreciate any comments, like and subscribe, and I'll check you guys out later. See ya.